Hi, says here, viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's time for the news. We thank you so much for joining us. Right away, we begin with major stories. My name is Anna Bilaleke. Civil society actors and other critics in Cameroon say the ruling CPDM party grabbing all the seats at the Senate might make a bad situation worse in the country. This, according to them, might mean a voiceless opposition in Cameroon. We will be telling you more in this edition of the news, and we will be taking you to the east region of the country where the WWF, which is the Worldwide Fund for Nature, is sensitizing the local population on how to protect the environment and also nature on what is called the Earth Hour. Viewers, those are our major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. Now we begin from the northwest region of the country, precisely in Dop, where some traders have closed their shops for about 1 week over unpaid rents of about 300,000 francs CFA, which according to them is very inhabitant, and they are being accused of respecting calls of ghost towns set by separatist fighters. Let's now have more with our reporter Mala Glory.
Business activities have been interrupted at the Ndop Central Market in the northwest region of the country. The traders of this market are reported to have closed their shops due to threat from separatist fighters. Fear chased us away because the people that comes to attack us are never far from us. Some of the traders say inadequate potable water and the absence of public toilets are some of the reasons their shops are closed. We have water crisis here and lack of public toilets. We hope you consider our complaints as you live here today. According to some business persons, the main reason behind the closed shops is their accumulated 5-year rent amounting to 300,000 francs, an amount which they say is high, and decided not to open their shops so the mayor can revert his decision. A situation which the local authorities used to educate the traders on the payment rent.
The interest of government is to make sure that the people make market in a good condition. This market was given by government to be built, and a FECOM. I know that FECOM, all the money will cut off of council money. And not only that, any work we go for, FECOM don't have we done for here. They cut off of council money, and the council get for pay back all that money. Now why we council the when I 4,000, if not so council will get one free. I want it for me. So that you feel to cover that money now, then pay back for the other people.
With these and other promises, the traders now hope for constant water supply, construction of toilets, and low rent to permit them effectively carry out business.
We stay in the northwest region, this time around in Kambe in the Ndonga Mantung division, where the population complains that life is getting more and more expensive for them as the days go by. In the report which comes up next, our northwest-based regional correspondent Mbu Stella now paints the picture of their struggles on the Ntaba Hill. Let's now have her report.
This is the new reality on the Ntaba Hill, leading to SOP in the Dongamantung division. With the coming of the rainy season, it has become a nightmare for travelers to the division. For some weeks on ending and still counting, travelers spend long hours as the wheels of their vehicles spin on the same spot or roll from one side of the muddy road to the other, forcing the passengers to either ascend or descend barefooted, running the risk of slipping into the mud. Before the now 6 years armed conflict, traveling from Bomenda to Nkambe through Bui division cost 6,000 francs CFA. It now costs 20,000 francs CFA through the West region. On his trip to launch the farming season in Kambe, the governor's convoy was not spared by the mud. The farm inputs to be distributed to the farming groups were held hostage by the muddy road, causing a 24-hour shift in the official program of distribution. The horrible road situation, according to the mayor of Cambe, breeds insecurity.
I don't need to remind you that you people left Bamenda yesterday at 8:40 a.m. and you arrived here at 9:40 p.m., which meant that we took 13 hours to come here. So our very first challenge is about access road. Of course, access road, when it is bad, it also leads to insecurity, because there are times that when you get stuck in mud, you don't know who can visit you in the night.
The Ntaba Nkambe, like the Nkambe Messages stretch of road, to name but these, are begging for urgent works. Though the contract to rehabilitate some stretches had been awarded, the population of Ndonga Mountain say works need to be hastened as the cost of living is on the increase.
And now we take you to the east region of the country, where locals of Ngato is a village in the east. They have expressed worries over the inability to smoothly carry out their fishing, hunting, and other agricultural activities as a result of continuous deforestation, poaching, and sale of wildlife species by people with egocentric reasons. These illegal activities also expose them to harsh climatic conditions. In a bid to grant them some aid, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, through the Earth Hour worldwide movement, sensitizes and encourage the locals to plant more trees. Let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
The abusive felling of trees, poaching and illegal trades in wildlife species constitute grave threats to the biodiversity of Ngato, a village in the east region of Cameroon. With the negative effects on nature, the locals who depend on agriculture, fishing and hunting for livelihood absorb the consequences of these unsustainable and illegal activities. This native says they no longer have large water bodies and variety of fishes like before, since deforestation caused the streams and water bodies to dry up. Just a few animals to catch as the nature is disappearing. The soil has become hard to till and infertile because of deforestation and climate change, thus adversely affecting their living conditions. That without the trees, their roofs are now easily blown off by strong winds, exposing them to harsh climatic conditions. According to these locals, the abusive logging in Ngato needs to end due to their rise and historical ties with the forest.
Que chacun de nous change de comportement vis-à-vis de la nature, que nous soyons un activiste de l'environnement.
In a bid to help the people recover the lost gold, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, is raising awareness and encouraging Ngato elites and children to invest in nature through the Earth Hour.
While in Europe people have to turn off lights, in Cameroon, for instance, people do not have electricity 24 hours. So we began to reflect how to do it differently. At the start, we urged people to sit 1 hour, turn off lights, and reflect to take positive action for our planet.
Students, teachers, women, and traditional authorities in Ngato have been advised to reverse the difficulties they face by planting new trees, as well as keeping the environment neat and safe.
This is important because communities depend on the forest largely for their survival.
The WWF in 2007 initiated FR for awareness raising about environmental degradation and encourage people to take the action to protect the planet. Cameroon is one of the annually participating countries, reason why this year's FR has been observed in Ngato, a village near the Bumbabek National Park.
Thank you, Innocent Aze, for that report. Nature and the earth should and must be protected. Now we talk religion. The newly installed pastor of the Melong Center EEC parish has been urged to bring back the lost sheep of the parish. The president of the Mungu North Synod equally mandated Reverend Bienvenu Tebonso to bring back peace and cohesion in that parish. Let's now have more with Immaculate Fogwe.
After close to 5 years of tension at the helm of the Evangelical Church of Cameroon, peace and harmony are gradually returning. factions that erupted from what some of the Christians qualified as misunderstanding have been dissolved. It was with great joy that the Christians of Melong Center in the Mungo Division received their newly installed pastor. We are happy that the storm is calm. We are all human, so having misunderstandings is normal. I am happy that everything is back to normal. While installing the new pastor, the president of the Mungo North Synod urges Reverend Bienvenu Tebonso to be aware of his role of bringing back the lost sheep. He equally denounces the unscrupulous behavior of those governing the country. Every day the price of basic commodities keep on increasing. We lack potable water in several neighborhoods in Cameroon. Life is very expensive. Even the price of fuel has increased. It will not even affect them because they are offered fuel. Us, the poor masses, are the ones to suffer. The mayor of Melong, Jean Kwete, urges a new leader to promote peace and social cohesion in his parish, and that he should equally ensure that the funds of the church are neither embezzled or mismanaged. Bienvenu Tebonso is the 22nd pastor of the EEC Melong Center Parish.
Now, in education, the Minister for Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, was in Douala, or in the economic capital, today to address the challenges faced by some schools in the littoral region. She made a tour of some schools around Douala, and during her visit, she spoke with school administrators who expressed their challenges, predominantly technical students who have poor funding. They complain inadequate equipment and also poor laboratories. The students on their part showcased their know-how with the production of several outputs like natural juice and the transformation of dirt to bricks. While at Lycée Mongo Joseph, Professor Nalova Lyonga had a view of uncompleted projects and how they can be realized. Well, we'll be coming back detailing on the visit of Professor Nalova Lyonga that will be in our subsequent news editions. And now we talk politics. What can the Senate of Cameroon deliver with its present configuration? Some opposition and civil society leaders think the fact that all elected seats in the upper house of parliament are now occupied by the ruling CPDM party has worsened an already bad situation in Cameroon. However, CPDM politicians point to the democratic growth of Cameroon through the impact of the Senate. Babila Jonathan is a man on that beat.
I would have loved to see a Senate with different colors.
Though his wish seems to be far-fetched in Cameroon as of now, he is however satisfied with the overwhelming victory of his party in the 2023 senatorial election.
I am personally very grateful for the outcome and proud of my party.
Some opposition leaders attribute the fact that the CPDM got all 70 elected seats in the last senatorial election to the 2020 municipal and legislative elections.
Majority of the opposition party didn't go in for elections because of the civil unrest that was in the country. So it gave an opportunity for CPDM to go in, and with some other parties that accompanied the CPDM in that maneuver.
It is not the CPDM that told the opposition not to capture local councils or regional councils. We should stop giving the CPDM this bad and negative coloration. It is a democratic party.
Going back to 2013, Senator Mbela Moki Charles says his party cannot continue helping the opposition.
In 2013, the CPDM allowed the SGF to run with its senators in the Adamawa region, where they did not have a single councillor, and of course in the West region, where the CPDM had a strong backing. And so the SGF came out with a group in the Senate. But you cannot continue to pamper the opposition.
About the importance and impact of the Senate on national life, while opposition and civil society leaders see it as useless, the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement highlights its contribution to the country's democratic progress.
To me, the Senate is an institution that is really there to just absorb taxpayers' money for nothing.
I don't see the difference between the time where there were no senators and now that we have had senators for a number of years. I've not seen any change, anything that have been brought up by senator influence that has changed the life of the republic.
You don't expect us to score 100% performance at all times. We may have had some isolated cases, but that should not be used to color the CPDM and the Senate as a failure. This institution enriches our democracy.
Cameroon's Senate was established in 2013, and the senators elected in the third senatorial election will take up duty in June 2023.
And now we will be talking more on the results of the just ended senatorial election, which saw the CPDM grabbing all the 70 seats that would be in the second part of the news. And now, viewers, before we move on to sports, just to let you know that a while ago, Honorable Kavayege Jibril has been re-elected as the president of the National Assembly. Sure, we will be coming back to that in our subsequent news editions, maybe at 8 p.m. And now we talk sports. Cameroon senior men's basketball team will be present at this year's AfroBasket Nations Cup in Angola. The basketball team clinched their qualification thanks to their outstanding performance during the qualifiers of the tournament that took place in Yaoundé recently. Smart Njikan Gabriel tells us more.
The competition that went for 6 days at the sports complex in Yaoundé saw the participation of 5 countries, amongst them Gabon, Central African Republic, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, alongside host nation Cameroon. Cameroon did not only win all 4 matches during the competition but recorded one of the highest score against Equatorial Guinea, humiliating them 102 to 38 points. The Basketball Lions also defeated Chad 82 to 74 points, which was the most difficult encounter for the basketball team. Cameroon also defeated Gabon 80 to 71 points, and the Central African Republic lost to Cameroon 49 to 67 points. The smooth journey of Cameroon during the qualifiers at home has enabled the Basketball Lions to gain qualification for the FIBA AfroBasket Nations Cup to be hosted by Angola later this year. The qualification of Cameroon to the FIBA Basketball Nations Cup comes some few weeks after they failed to pick up their qualification for the FIBA World Cup that will be coming up later this year.
And viewers, that does it for the first part of the news. Thank you for staying on, but don't go away. The second part comes up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. Our guest tonight is Dr. Ntimancho Michael. You are of the civil society and also a political analyst. Thank you so much for accepting to be our guest tonight. We are coming back to the just ended senatorial election. We said a while ago it's no longer news. The CPDM grasped all the seats, be it in the northwest, the southwest regions, and in other parts of the country. Now, Mr. Ntimancho, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest tonight. We want to find out from you the results of the just ended senatorial election. What's your reading of it, and does it negatively affect the opposition party in Cameroon? Does it bring the opposition to somehow zero and voiceless?
Not only internally but externally, because as at now, there are some schools of thought who are actually saying that we have gone back to a one-party system. And if you go by the senatorial election, it is true. Because even if the president of the republic is going to appoint some members from the opposition, that will just be an appointment. That is not an election. Election has power. Election has credibility. Because when you are elected, you represent the votes and the people who elected you. But when you are appointed, when you will be appointed as an opposition candidate into the Senate, are you sure that you are going to represent the views of your party and the views of those of your locality? No, you are certainly going to represent the views and the position of the person who appointed you. And therefore, this is sad news for Cameroon internationally, because the international observers are now looking at us as if we are going back to that dictatorial rule, to that despotic rule, which of course, but let me tell you, I think that I'm one of those people who think that even an enlightened despot is more than the democracy that we even practice in Cameroon. So I'm of the opinion that if we are even going to a one-party system, to that despotic rule, I think that if the people, the CPDM, the president of this country, who, has accepted or who will accept to rule Cameroon in 2025, if he feels that he has to rule the people selflessly, I emphasize on the selfless rule of the people. I think that this is what we mean, we want. Because when you look at democracy since 1990, and we ask ourselves, where are we after all these years of democracy? But the unfortunate thing is that it is still the very party that is leading, and that was leading during the democratic rule, and that will be leading again during the despotic rule. And that is why it gives me a mixed feeling to think that the more things change, the more they remain the same. It will be rather old dance, new dress. So I think that this is to call ourselves a democratic country.
Thank you, Doctor. You were responding there on how the victory of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement can somehow affect the democratic game in Cameroon. Now we know that the CPDM, they are the victors. They took all the senatorial seats. We might want to find out from you. They are now the majority. How can they affect, or how can they participate in the upcoming presidential election in the country? How can they affect the performance of the CPDM?
I think now what we really need to do now is to put the country first. We in Cameroon now, there is a lot of poverty. People are barely living, and I think that the best thing for all of us to do now is to leave personal interest and put the country first. Because usually I ask myself a question. We have had a lot of crises in Cameroon, and people say, okay, there is marginalization, there is poverty, there is this, there are no roads, and all of these things. And I ask myself, there is a way to channel your issues. There is a way to actually bring up these things to a negotiation for them to be solved. Because nobody will come from anywhere and solve this thing. So the only thing that we have to do now is to practice what we call a synergy. We have to be in synergy. I like the speech of John Kerry after the 2004 American elections. John Kerry got up the next morning, and what did he say? He said, whether it is a Democrat that won or the Republic that won, we all get up as Americans. I think that we Cameroonians, we need to take this statement very seriously. There is no loser and there is no winner. Take that energy that you used, that you lost and you thought you will have put in. Bring the energy on the ground, bring it on the table, and be able to assist those who want to take it forward. And for those who actually took it or won, let them be able to open up their arms. There should be flexibility, I think that one person cannot do everything alone. So I think there should be no loser and there should be no winner. All of us have won. And I think that at this particular moment, where Cameroon, I would say it's an abyss. Cameroon is in an abyss where Esken is very, very chimerical. We are in a very, very difficult situation. Poverty, economy is down. The franc CFA, far it cannot be compared with other currencies around the world. I think that these are some of the economic issues that we should be looking at rather than looking at personal gains. We have had people who come over parties each day, and I've just said we have about 345 parties. What have all those parties, what is their balance sheet? And therefore, this gives us much more reason to come on board and be able to build either as a civil society or as a political party. Now, you know, there is Jean-Francois Bayard who talked about la politique en Afrique, I mean, l'État en Afrique, la politique du banque. Sometimes we have an impression that what we are practicing is la politique du banque, this politics of the stomach. And that is why sometimes we want to even destabilize everything, want to put everything on a hold because of our selfish interests. So at this particular point in time, when Cameroon is at this precipice, I think that we all should be able to put hand on deck, be it a political party that has lost, be it a civil society, be it religious leaders. It is a time for all of us to be able to come in that synergy, to concert our action and be able to look at a prosperous Cameroon in the future. This is all that we have for this country that is so dear to us. Because when you look at even the instability that some people have caused around Cameroon, you ask yourself, I mean, if they gave them that country at that particular time, were they going to bring a magic one to be able to make this country become that El Dorado that they are talking about? No, I do not think. I think that we really need to work hand in hand to see how to move the country forward.
Now, Doctor, what concrete role actually can the Senate play among the determining factors of after-present Probia?
Many people are tempted to ask or have been asking, what is the role of the Senate? And I think that outside the 1996 Constitution spells it out very, very clearly. Even though in terms of social, economic, infrastructural development, we do not see where the senators they fit in, but we think that the Senate as an organ plays an important role in the political life of Cameroon. When you are talking about already after President Bobia, this is actually where the Senate's role lies. You know that the president of the Senate is supposed to be the constitutional inheritance, let me call it that way, of the president of the republic in terms of incapacitation or in terms of death. If the president dies, it's the president of the Senate that replaces him. So I think that their role is much more in times of perhaps death or incapacity of the president, means the after of the president of the republic. And therefore, they usually say they have a number of stipulated time that they have to organize elections. So it is a very, very heated moment, and it's a very, very important role for the country, because if you scrape out the Senate, you see that we are going to get ourselves involved in a kind of a political tumult. So the Senate has an important role, and that is why we need to keep it together. Unless the constitution is changed to have another person as the constitutional replacement of the president, as at now, the Senate is supposed to have a preponderant role to play after the president of the republic. And therefore, we need to guard the Senate. And that is why we keep on asking ourselves, we keep on wondering whether if we keep the person who is at the head of the Senate now, we know that, in one way, everybody is bound to get old. Getting old is a privilege. Sometimes when they say that the president of the Senate is old, or that the president of Cameroon is old, some people look at it to think that it is derogatory. It is not. We are born, we live, and we die. That is clear. And old age, especially in Africa, is a privilege. And that is why when we talk about, and we always make allusion of an old man and gray hair. We know that it is wisdom, but it reaches a time when that gray hair can no longer work. It reaches a time when that old man can no longer carry out his function. We have been wondering why, if the terms of death of the president of the Senate will have that power, that physical power, that morale to be able to coordinate the over 100 senators to be able to handle, the political situation after that. But then we keep on saying that it is God who is ruling Cameroon, because if we have to look at that, we really think that we are going to, we will have fear. So as of now, the Senate plays a role, and we only hope that God will continue to guide us, and that we should not wait for the death of the president, and that the Cameroon should have a good political transition, which is actually guided by a democratic election, that a new president, a new energetic, visionary president comes up. We don't hope for the worst, in Cameroon.
Maybe my last question, Dr. Ntimancho. We know that senators are not voted by universal suffrage. They were voted by councillors, but we know that the councillors were voted by the local population. Now, talking about the northwest and the southwest regions where the CPDM actually had a 100% victory, do you think that is a representation of the people's will? Well, we are having some difficulties there getting the response of Dr. Ntimancho Michael. Shall we will be coming back to the topic or the subject that would be in our subsequent editions. Why not tomorrow? Dr. Ntimancho Michael, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Point tonight. And viewers, we thank you so much for always being there. Don't go away. Our programs continue as usual. The news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Bye-bye for now.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte. Ce mercredi sur Equinoxe Télévision.
Et le calcul rénal, qu'est-ce que c'est?
Alors le calcul rénal, c'est un caillou. C'est une accumulation de cristaux, une sédimentation de cristaux. On peut avoir des cristaux à l'état normal dans les urines.
Et comment se forment ces caillots dans les urines?